Hey, what's going on out there in IE Network land? And you know what time it is when it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday night. You know it's time for another exciting, endless adventure. Well, I have to end sooner or later, but you know what I'm saying? It's a catchphrase of the Benchwarmers podcast. Yes, the exclusive show of the Benchwarmers podcast, exclusively, of course, on the IE Network on YouTube. Yes, yes. By the way, shout out to everybody out there listening. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Make sure you tell a friend, tell another friend, and then tell another friend, and then tell another friend, and tell a whole bunch of friends. Then more friends will tell another more friends, and then a lot more friends tell a lot more friends. Then there's so many friends and so much crowd that we'll reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. Yes, the goal at the end of 2021. Or if you're Spanish, viente uno, I guess. I guess how you say it in years in Spanish. I don't know. You would think I know, being Puerto Rican, but that's another story. Yes, that is our goal for the IE Network on this YouTube channel, to get to 10,000 subscribers. Yes, and for us to do that, we are going to entice you with giveaways. Yes, that's what we're going to start doing. And that's going to be an exciting thing. There'll be like a word a day, something like that. I remember I saw a little bit of my homeboy, my producer extraordinaire of the Benchwarmers podcast, the director, aka Wes Clark, talking about it a little bit on Real Talk, which by the way you can catch every Monday night right here exclusively on IE Network, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shameless plug, but I don't care. Yes, so we'll talk more about that, a little later on, because Wes got more of the mostly of that information. But we're definitely going to have some giveaways, whether it's certain items that will really intensify your eyes, stuff like that. I'm sorry, I almost got disconnected. We're gonna try get to do all that other stuff with giveaways and stuff like that. So yes, so we're gonna do all that and then some. So yeah, so we're gonna get this ball rolling. Right now I'm not showing my face because trying to do I like to do things differently sometimes. I like to alternate, or like Peyton Manning would say, I'll call audible. Except I'm not calling Oklahoma or Omaha or whatever he calls during his plays. But anyway, where to start? Well, there's a lot we can start. I can talk about, what I usually do to start the show, MLB and baseball with my Yankees, but no, I am not going to start with that. I can start Aaron Rodgers and thoroughly explaining what his issues are with Green Bay Packer management and how he feels. I could start with that, but no, that's not what I'm going to be talking about to start off this wonderful show. I'm going to be talking about of a certain team that plays at the Mecca, at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, located at 33rd Street and 7th Avenue in the greatest city in the world, New York City. Yes, I've said it. Greatest city in the world, greatest city ever, absolutely. Of course, if you don't live in New York City, you think otherwise. But of course, I say I'm being biased. Yes, I know it, but oh well. There was a little playoff game that went on the other day between the Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Playoff basketball in the Garden for the first time in 8 long years. I should say it's really like 8. It wasn't 8 human years. It was more like 8 dog years. So you do the math. So basically it felt like 25 years or more like 15 years or something like that. But yeah, it was unbelievable. The NBA playoffs have started, if you don't know by now. But the more important series I care about is the New York Knicks. And I was talking about them last week on the show, of what a wonderful job Knicks management and coaching staff and what the players have done during this 2020-2021 NBA season, although it was shortened by 10 games, but who cares? They still play 72 games. That's still more than enough to get basically a measuring stick of what a team is and who they are they are for real or are they not. And for the Knicks to be the fourth overall seed in the Eastern Conference is a outstanding accomplishment. Especially one of the players on the team, one of the many that done a great job, Julius Randle, who's really the star of the team, which, by the way, was just announced not too long ago that he won the NBA's Improved Player of the Year award. So congratulations to him. He definitely deserved that award. Although you might not think he deserved that award after you saw the Game 1 performance of the other day. Let me tell you, I mean, it really brought back memories. When I tell you, I've been a Knicks fan since the Rick Pitino Knicks of the late 80s. So that was like, what, 88, 89, around that time. And one thing about Madison Square Garden, when there's a playoff game, and this goes with, you know, anybody that's hockey fans, you know, New York Ranger fans are one of the best fans in the world too. When it comes to the Garden fans, whether you root for the Rangers or the Knicks, when it comes to those major sports, the best crowds ever when it comes to playoff atmosphere. It kind of reminds me of old Yankee Stadium crowd, you know, where it wasn't until the last few years where the new Yankee Stadium crowd kind of sounded like the old Yankee Stadium crowd. Or if you want to go back to, you know, the old Shea Stadium days of the late 80s when the Mets were dominating New York City, the crowd was raucous and, you know, a bunch of maniacs, you know, just like it is in the Bronx. No matter what decade or whatever, it's always raucous in the Bronx, so it doesn't matter. Maybe minus throwing batteries at the players. But but I mean, the atmosphere, I mean, I wasn't there, unfortunately, but to feel it through, I mean, you know, it's a electricity through the crowd when you can feel it through the TV. When you feel it through the TV and it gives you goosebumps, imagine if you're there. Now, I've been fortunate enough to be in Knicks playoff games in the past. I've been very fortunate with that. I was actually there, game 1 of the semi-conference finals between the Knicks and Pacers, 1995. And if you do your math, you know which infamous game that is. That's the 8-point Pacer win with what, like not even 30-something seconds left to play. And I knew something bad was gonna happen. I just knew it. But anyway, I've told that story so many times. That's for another day. But the crowd was just electric. They let Trae Young know what New York is all about. Just basically getting on him. I won't repeat what they said about him, but let's just say they were trying to get into the young man's head. And back and forth game. Now let me tell you, the start of this game, I think when it came to first of all, like I said, Julius Randle was basically all over the place. I mean, and actually most of the whole team, the starting 5 in the beginning, because well, blink of an eye, they were already giving up 10 points within the first few minutes of the first quarter. And you could tell, like, I think the excitement of the crowd really overwhelmed them, I think, a little bit, in my opinion. And I think, you know, because these teams are so used to playing in a bubble, playing now in front of crowds. When you play see, it's a little different. I know it sounds kind of strange when I say this, but when you're playing in a baseball stadium that holds way more than the Garden holds about like 15,000 people, especially the new Garden where they had the seats. The old Garden held like maybe 13,000 before they renovated a few years back. But it's a more enclosed environment. You know what I'm saying? It's more, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, where you feel, you know, it's like how old Yankee Stadium was. It gave you that that real home field advantage where it sounds like it was way more people than it really was. Where in most stadiums now, and especially baseball stadiums, yeah, it holds more people, but the noise doesn't sound the same. It's more cavernous. Where where Madison Square Garden is more intimate. That's the word I was looking for. Intimate. It's more intimate. So everybody's on top of the court, basically what it sounds like. So you can imagine being on the court and just hearing all that, you know, and just the excitement, whether it's for the team or for the opposition, you know, hearing all that noise. But, you know, give the Hawks credit. And this Trae Young guy, for his first debut playoff game, he actually didn't do a bad job, and that's actually an understatement because he scored 32 points, 10 assists. He's the first NBA player to have a great game like this as a playoff debut since Derrick Rose back in 2009. And as far as a Knicks opponent in the playoffs, he's the first one to have a great debut in the playoffs against the Knicks since Michael Jordan back in 1989. So that says a lot. I think it was 89 if I'm mistaken. It could have been 87, but I think it was 89 if I'm not mistaken. So that shows a lot. But and I give him credit. They were on him. He played relentless. He played fearless. Although I think the Knicks defense wasn't as great as it usually was. They let him too much running up and down the court. You know, the pick and roll basically killed them on top of the key. You know, that was killing the Knicks most of the game. And they allowed him to lane way too many times. Especially they allowed him to go to his right, which is more dominant, his most dominant strength than it is going to his left. So Tom Thibodeau didn't really have a great game as far as coaching wise, you know, dealing with all this. But most of the team, the starting five actually wasn't doing well. But the bench was unbelievable. The bench basically kept the team in the game. I mean, the bench was unbelievable. I mean, look at Alex Burks. You know, never heard this guy until the other day. He scored 27 points. He's the third Knick ever to score 27 plus points off the bench in a playoff game in the last 40 years. So basically, I was 8 years old when that happened. So, and check this out: the Knicks bench scored 64 of the Knicks' 105 points in Game 1. So combined Burks points, Derrick Rose, who was awesome, by the way. Derrick Rose, I've said this before on one of my earlier shows of this year. He's been night and day. His first tenure with the Knicks was putrid, and that's an understatement. His return for these last, I mean, because they just got him with the last 25 games of the season, you know, the trading deadline. And he's been like the old Derrick Rose. He's like the Derrick Rose of like, you know, over 10 years ago. You know, MVP like Derrick Rose. You know, he's scoring on a consistent basis of averaging over at least 20 points or so a game. You know, he's been unbelievable. But Burks, Rose, and Quickly combined for 54 of those 64 points off the bench. So that was unbelievable. Like I said, Trae Young, a.k.a. Oopa Loopa, Shemale, ugly WNBA player looking person. He scored 32 points, 10 assists. First player with 30 plus points and 10 plus assists in a playoff debut, like I said, since Derrick Rose in 2009. And first time against a Knicks opponent, against the Knicks in the Garden, since going back to the GOAT himself, the icon, the legend, the main event, the showstopper. No, not Shawn Michaels. Michael Jordan. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, Trae Young, like I said, I give him credit. He played the villain role perfectly. When he did that shushing at the end, when he did that teardrop layup, basically, you know, that teardrop to the hoop, which left 9/10 of a second left, which, you know, you couldn't even sneeze before you get off the ball. I could probably sneeze quicker than I can shoot the ball with that much time left in the game. I give him credit for stepping up while the crowd was on him. But we're New Yorkers, you know what I'm saying? We're not those types to get, you know, impressed very easily. Yes, we're impressed with your first game, especially your first ever playoff game, and doing it in the biggest stage in the world at the Mecca, the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. But you have to do it again and again and again. And you know, when you do it consistently on an every year basis, then you'll be put up there with Reggie Miller and put up there with Michael Jordan and villains of the past of the Knicks. You know what I mean? You're not there yet, son. You're not there yet. All right. Kudos for a good game. You know, golf clap. You know, golf clap. You know, good for you. You know, you're a very good player. You showed your stuff to a national audience. Pause. You know what I mean? You showed your game to you showed how good you really are, but you have to do it again. And that will be tomorrow night game 2. And again, the way they schedule these things, I'm sorry. And this game 2 should have happened at least tonight. At least tonight. And honestly, it should have happened Monday night, to be honest with you. That's how it used to be. First 2 games back to back, then the traveling day, and then, play game 3, whatever. You might have in between day off, game 3 and 4 or something like that. But come on now. But anyway, that's the way the wussification of sports nowadays and also in society. But yeah, so Oopa Loopa Trae Young, he needs to relax himself. Great game, but relax yourself. We know you're for real. I give you that. You know joke. And the Knicks, trust me, with Tom Thibodeau, who to me should be coach of the year. I don't care. I know Monty Williams. Shout out to Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns, who did an outstanding job with the Suns. But I'm just saying, it should be Tom Thibodeau. Should have another coach of the year award. But anyway, I think they watched the film these last couple of days, and they're gonna figure out what they need to do with Trae Young is that they need to have him shoot more and pass to these other guys and have those guys beat you. By the way, what's his name? A former Knick was on the Hawks, Gallinari. I thought he's been out of the NBA a long time ago, the Italian dude. I thought this guy, he was part of the trading chip that got us Carmelo Anthony, over 10 years ago, going back to, 2011, actually 10 years ago, February of 2011, with that big trade. He was part of that trading chip, Gallinari. So I didn't know till the other day he was still in the NBA. I was like, wow, really? I guess he still must shoot the ball well because he's like, being a shooter. That's why, it's so important to know how to shoot. Because, yeah, it's all good, you drive to the lane, the ball off the basket and all this other stuff. But if you know how to shoot long-range jumpers, it's like being a lefty thrower in Major League Baseball. You'll have a very long career. So that's probably why Gallinari is still around in the NBA, because he can still shoot. If he couldn't still shoot, he would have been mopping floors somewhere in Walmart. Let me tell you. But by the way, shout out to the chat room. Thank you everybody for this. Thank you, Joseph Tanner. Thank you, everybody. Oh boy, there's like so much to name here. Jeez, thank you all for watching and participating here. Thank you so much. And yeah, so Trae Young, he needs to relax himself, and I'll give him this, he's relentless, he's fearless. He don't let the crowd get into him. But I think if they come up with more clever chants that will really, strike a nerve, I think it would help it. I've heard some stupid people in the media that was saying, one of them I'm going to call out, what's his name, Max Gershon from First Take. Oh, and I hope he was being sarcastic, but then again, it's Max Scherzer. So, he was saying like, oh, it was like poking the bear on Trae Young because he acted like Reggie Miller. When you poke the bear, that's why you lost. Like, are you serious? That's just like that dumb thing back in the day, the Daily News back in 1994. When Reggie Miller scored over 30 plus points in that Game 5 of the East Conference Finals in '94. And he basically put the team on his back to beat the Knicks, and they blamed Spike Lee because Spike Lee was dogging out Reggie Miller. That motivated him to win. Listen, let me tell you something. If you need someone to motivate you in a playoff game, then you shouldn't be playing. Okay, being in the NBA alone in a packed house, and especially it's the playoffs, you should need no more motivation than that. Of course, and to put the cherry on top, you're playing in the biggest media capital of the world, New York City, at the Mecca, at the world's most famous river, Madison Square Garden. How much more motivation you need? You think that because the crowd was getting on Trae Young, that's what cost the Knicks? No, that's not what cost the Knicks the game in Game 1. What cost the Knicks was their defense sucked. Their star players didn't play well. Like I said, Julius Randle didn't play well. RJ Bennett didn't play well. Most of their stars didn't play well. It was the bench that kept the team in the game. Like I said, who would have thought? Alex Burks, who I never would have recognized if he punched me in the face, He scored 27 points. I mean, you had these other guys, like I said, Derrick Rose, he's been consistent since we got him back. He carried the load on his carried the team on his back, did his thing. So I think there's going to be some adjustments in the starting rotation as far as the starting five. You might see Derrick Rose maybe start game 2 in the beginning. Not that I noticed, or heard it, but maybe Tom Thibodeau would do something like that. But let's be honest, we knew this was not gonna be no cakewalk. Any Knicks fan or NBA fan that thought this series was gonna go a sweep for the Knicks or vice versa, you have no idea. I would be very surprised if that happens either way on each side. I think this game, I've said it, I predicted Knicks in 6. That was my prediction. I give the Hawks 2 games. And let us not forget, the Knicks going to Atlanta after game 2 Wednesday night is like playing at home because there are tons. When I say tons, there's tons of New York Knicks fans that live in Atlanta because you have tons of former New Yorkers. Actually, I shouldn't say former New Yorkers. Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. Tons of New Yorkers that moved to the South in Atlanta, going back to like the 90s. You know what I'm saying? When Atlanta was really popping back in the day. So I remember the Knicks going back to when it was the Omni Arena. Dominique Wilkins was dominating the Atlanta sports sports pages, and tons of Knicks fans, tons. Even with the human highlight reel of Dominique Wilkins, tons of Knicks fans. Because let's be honest, Atlanta is one of the worst sports fan towns in America. They are. Let's be honest. It's Atlanta. And I know I'm going to get some hate texts or whatever, but bring it on. Atlanta's one of the worst sports cities in America. I would put Miami there too, because let's be honest, Florida's more known for their college football teams, and that's where their real fandom comes from. And let's be honest, Los Angeles ain't too great either. But I will say this, Los Angeles fans are a little better than Atlanta fans when it comes to rooting for their team. Now, New York fans that live in Atlanta, yeah, they're better because they'll root for the New York visitor team, whether it's the Mets, Yankees, or Knicks. No one cares about the Brooklyn Nets, by the way. But by the way, they won game 1. No one cares. So anyway, the Knicks have home court no matter what. I know they were saying, oh, well, they lost home court because they lost game 1. Yeah, but guess what? Playing in Atlanta is like playing in home court for the Knicks anyway, because there's going to be at least a couple of thousand Knicks fans there. Let's keep it a buck. We all know that's going to take place. You see tons of Knicks fans, tons of them. It's kind of like how the Yankees, when they go on the road, there's a lot of Yankee fans. When they go to Boston, there's Yankee fans in Fenway Park. So or wherever they go, even when they go to especially when they go to Arlington. I mean, excuse me, not Arlington, Anaheim, when they go place the Angels, tons of Yankee fans. But anyway, so this is going to be a knockout and drag them out type of series. Let me just say this though: when I watched this game 1 of the Knicks playoffs, I miss low post plays, and basically when someone drives the lane, you knock them down on their rear end. Those days are like been gone. Like, trust me when I tell you, if Trae Young was playing back in the 90s when Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing and Xavier McDaniels and all these guys were playing, he would have been probably on the disabled list by now. He would have at least a lot of black and blues to go with himself. So the Oopa Loopa, is going to have to prove it again. That troll of a man to prove again that he can do it. And like I said, I'm not knocking his skill. He definitely has skill, no doubt about it. But like I said, in order for that to happen, the Knicks have to step up their defense. They can't let him drive all over the place like he's Mario Andretti with the ball. You know what I mean? Don't let him drive the lane every 2 seconds or go to his right. Stop him at the top of the court. The mid-court, what I'm saying? At least by the top of the key. Make him pass. Make those other guys beat you. Now, those other guys are not too shabby, but Trae Young is definitely the star of that team. No question. They're definitely a team not to sleep on. Absolutely not. Especially if Trae Young is running that team. So I'm excited what tomorrow's game is going to be like, and we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Now, as far as the Yankees go, the Yankees actually had a pretty decent week. They actually a week ago tomorrow, Corey Kluber pitched a no hitter, which is the first Yankees no hitter since David Cohn's perfect game in 1999. I remember that like yesterday. I've seen every Yankees perfect game of no hitter since 1983 of David Getting, in the 4th of July game when Wade Boggs struck out. So I've seen every one of those since every no hitter since then. I'm not saying I'm seeing. Obviously, I'm not that old to seeing going back, billion years ago. But ever since 1983, I've seen every no hitter when it's happened, which is amazing when you think about it because the way life throws a monkey wrench in your program every now and then, you would think there'd be one time you miss it live, but not me. I've been very fortunate. No matter where I was, I've seen it on TV somehow when it's happened. Unfortunately, I've never been at the stadium where it's happened. Been there live at the stadium to see it happen, but I've seen it happen live on TV. All those last 6 times they've had no hitters and perfect games. So congratulations to Corey Kluber. The pitching staff has been tremendous. The Yankees offense still hasn't been as good. The pitching staff is what saved this team so far. And they completed a sweep this past weekend against the red hot at the time Chicago White Sox, which that was a great series win for them. Right now they have 9 games above 500, and they're playing tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays, one of their division rivals. So hopefully they still take care of business. Stanton, I think, comes off the I still call it disabled list. I don't care what anybody says. They call it the what do you call it now? The injured list, the IL instead of the DL. I still call it the DL, disabled list, not the injured list. IL don't sound right. DL sounds better. So yeah, they've been doing well. The Mets have been doing terrible, although their division is really putrid. So they're still in first place because every team in that division is just terrible. The Phillies not that great. The Braves have been surprisingly playing the role of overachievers. Actually, not even overachieving. They've been disappointing. They haven't been as good as they usually are. And who else is on? Oh, Miami's been Miami. Just playing by the seat of their pants. The Mets are the only team that's a little over 500. Everybody else in that division is below 500. So that goes to show you how the NL East has been that bad, which is actually surprising because I thought the NL East was going to be one of those more competitive divisions. Although we all knew everyone was going to beat up each other in that division, but we thought there'd be at least 3 teams that'd be over 500. We thought at least the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. But that's been neither. It's only been the Mets. But Met fans, don't pat yourself on the back because you've had tons of injuries that's been happening lately. And what's his name? Your big star player that you paid $250 billion for, he hasn't been living up to his big fat contract. So baseball in general, I'm telling you, man, baseball in general, it's like everyone's been hitting below the Mendoza line. It's like everyone's bang under 200. Team bang averages are at an all-time low across the league. It's pathetic. It really is pathetic. And that's one of the reasons why there's been so many no-hitters. Corey Kluber's no-hitter made the 6th no-hitter of this season. The record for 1 year is 7, which is going back to, I think, the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Or I think it's the early 90s. But it's crazy. And I love David Cohn. If you're listening, I love you. You're one of my favorite pitchers, even before you came to the Yankees. And I was, I'm glad you came to the Yankees. But it's not because pitchers are throwing harder. I mean, they are throwing harder, but that's not the reason why batters are not hitting. Batters are not hitting because the batting IQ of most of these ball players, I would say at least 75%, which is really too high, have very low baseball IQ, meaning they swing at everything. The launch angle, I think, ruined this game when it came to that Amazon StatCast ridiculousness, where everything is launch angle instead of just hitting the ball. Remember when hitting was an art? Do you imagine if Ted Williams was alive today? How Ted Williams is turning in his grave right now. Everything is, let me hit it over the fence. It's not about always hitting over the fence. It's about spraying the ball all over the field. Certain situations, when there's a runner in scoring position in second base or third base, or even if it's the man on first, hit the ball to the right side of the field so the runner could go on to second base. Stuff like this, sack fly. I'm not saying it's easy to hit the ball where they ain't, but that's how you beat the shift. It's funny. I watched something recently that I finally got a chance to watch. It was the Ted Williams 406 documentary that was on MLB Network, like about, I think, a year or two ago. And there was a little story where during the year that he batted 406, I forgot what team it was, they did the shift at that time. It was very rare, but they did it at this particular case when it came to Ted Williams back in 1941. And they had like 3 guys on one side of the right infield, right? So Ted Williams being a lefty, he saw this. He was like, oh, so they want to play like that? Okay. So what does he do? Since Ted Williams is a great hitter, probably the greatest hitter that ever lived, he hit the ball the left side of the infield. And guess what? He got on base. And most of these players don't take time to make adjustments to better their game, because they're like, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't hit the ball the other way. I can't bunt. You're a professional baseball player. You should be able to do that. I'm not saying it's easy to do. Hitting a cylinder, using a cylinder object to a circular object is the hardest thing in sports. I get that, especially when it comes to speeds and different different pitching angles and stuff like that. The curve, the slider, the cutter, the knuckle curve, all this stuff, right? I understand that. That's why you get paid the big bucks, because not too many people on this planet can do that. But with that being said, and what I've just said is a compliment, you should be able to use your natural God-given ability to make adjustments. Because guess what? That's what they did to you. When you came into the league, and let's say it was Aaron Judge, for example, and he had an outstanding rookie year, 2017, hit over 52 home runs. They made adjustments on him. That, and he caught the injury bug ever since 2018. The only reason he hasn't been on the shelf this year, Aaron Judge, is because they play him like every other day, or play him like twice a week. I'm just kidding. But they're more careful with him because the big man is injury prone. But take that away, they find out how to play him. They figure out how to pitch to him, and that's when it's up to a player. I'm just using Aaron Judge as an example, but he's one of them. He's not as bad as most of these guys. A guy like Aaron Judge will have to look at the film and make adjustments. That's what you do. You make adjustments, because if you don't make adjustments, you won't be in the league long. You become irrelevant. Or is it irrelevant? Whatever. You know what I mean. You'll be an afterthought. You'll be a little blimp on a radar screen. And that's in anything. Basketball, football. If you don't make adjustments, because hello, there's scouting reports on you, and especially when you're a superstar type of player, they're gonna figure you out. And then once they do, you counteract them figuring you out, and then you figure them out. And that's how it goes. You have to work hard at it. Not saying some of these guys don't, but they gotta work harder. I remember I've been bombarding on Gary Sanchez of how terrible he is when it comes to his approach at the plate. But there's a lot of Gary Sanchez clones out there in the league nowadays. They have no recollection of any common sense when it comes to certain situations when you come to the plate, when there's especially men on base. And even when there's no men on base, hey, guess what? Taking a walk ain't a bad thing. It's not the end of the world to take a walk. It's okay. I know it's not the sexiest thing in sports, but hey, it's a team sport. The batter behind you can do something. And guess what? Might be a 2-run homer because you made that walk. Or if they were man on base, you made a walk. Who knows? 3-run homer, grand slam. Just saying. But man, I can go forever and basically be endless with this nonsense when it comes to Major League Baseball, these players. And like I said before, if it wasn't for the fact that I fell in love with this game when I was 7 years old back in 1980, I probably won't be watching right now. I can't blame the youngsters for not really watching because the Major League Baseball does not know how to market well, and they don't know how to promote well. Unlike the NBA and definitely the NFL. The NFL is the kings of promoting. They know how to promote their players, and the game has never adjusted to the times. They're trying. I give them that. They're trying with the rules with the man on second base when it's a tie game going to the top of the 10th inning. They're trying some new things, and I thought I would hate it, but I actually kind of like it because it actually saves the bullpen, it saves your team from being in those long marathon type of games. But they have to do more than that. They got to figure out a way. They have to figure out a way to bring back the steal like it used to be. Hit and run is not boring. Make the hitting extra bases like doubles and triples is fun too, just like hitting a home run. You remember those plays where there'd be a base hit, run around second, the guys maybe either a really great runner or even a above average runner, and there's a close play at home plate. That's one of the greatest exciting moments of baseball. Those things are taken away, and especially when I call it the Buster Posey rule of the catching rule, where you can't collide into the catcher no more. That when that got taken away, then the excitement of a collision or home plate makes it even less exciting. Not that you have to hurt, not that I advocate for someone getting hurt. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the possibility of, oh wow, what's going to be the play at home plate? Is he safe or out? That type of thing, more than the collision or home plate. But that's what's missing in this game: the excitement, the doubles in the gap, the baseball is being hit down the line. It's not all about just home runs, and especially in the playoffs, you don't hit home runs all the time. Now, some people are talking about, well, the baseballs were made differently this year than last year, which I've heard they were going to do that purposely to stop the home run ball, and it's kind of worked. But I think it's a little bit of that, and mostly with these baseball players, they don't really adjust to being better. They stick with their old ways, and they say, well, I always swing this way. This is the way I'm going to always pull the ball or whatever. I'm not going to adjust. I'm telling you, how you get rid of the shift? Not by just putting in a rule and saying banning the shift. No, first of all, I'm not for that. I don't mind the shift. The shift don't bother me. Although Mark Teixeira probably would say otherwise, because it kind of ruined his career. But I digress. My thing is, if you want to get rid of the shift, here's how you do it. Not by making a new rule in the MLB law book. Rule book. But what you do is you hit it where they ain't. That's how you do it. And guess what? A lot of players do more of that. Slowly but surely, that shift will go away. Trust me. And these pitchers got to know how to throw a pitch already. These pitchers take forever to throw, especially when there's men on scoring position. Oh, they take forever they get the sign. Okay, they said, okay, and then they step off the rubber. Okay, let's go through the signs again. One's a fastball, two's a curve, three's a slider. Oh, wait, there's a man on second base. He might be cheating. Okay, let me look at my hat so we can throw these fake signs. And one of these signs is the actual sign of the pitch I'm going to throw. I mean, just throw the ball. That's what it is, too. What young fan in their right mind is going to look at a guy holding a ball that he takes like 2 minutes to throw a pitch? It's like a human weather delay. He's a human ray delay. Some of these pitches. So ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And that's when this is what they should do. Put in the rule book. Hey, guess what? And that's why I was for the pitching clock. If you don't pitch by the time that clock runs to 0, ball 1, you get penalized. Okay, you do it again, ball 2. Trust me, you do that, those pitchers will throw that ball much faster. Because guess what? If you look at games in the 70s, 80s, and even in the early 90s, the pitchers got rid of the ball right away. Look at Derek. What's his name? Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is a throwback. He not only is one of the greatest pitchers in baseball today, he gets rid of the ball right away. He knows what he's gonna throw. Okay, you know what's coming. Boom. That's it. It don't take like 10 million years to throw one single pitch, and you wonder why these games take 3.5, 4 hours long. Ridiculous. Anyway, moving right along. Oh, by the way, if you wanna If you want to donate to the channel, to the IE network, you can donate to the super chat right here. You know where to press on that there on YouTube, or you can go on Cash App and put IE network. And my Cash App is Jimmy Ace Cash, and Heaven Hollywood's Cash App is Heaven Hollywood. So moving right along, one of the last things I want to talk about for this evening is Aaron Rodgers. Okay, last where we left you in the Aaron Rodgers soap opera, people are making speculations of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. You know, why is he wanting to leave the Packers? And if he's leaving the Packers, and is he mad with the Packers? Is it just why? You know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he did like a interview on ESPN, basically saying I'm paraphrasing here. He was basically saying had nothing to do with the draft of this quarterback. What's his face? It was never about Jordan Love, that the quarterback they drafted like 2 years ago. It's the issues about the philosophy from team management. Okay, but let me say this. Isn't that the same thing? And what I mean is, it is because of the team philosophy that drafted Jordan Love, right? So actually, aren't you counteracting what you're trying to explain? You're saying it's not Jordan Love, but in a way, it is about Jordan Love in a sense, because you're saying it's about the philosophy of team management or what they've been doing. So to me, part of that is drafting Jordan Young 2 years ago. So you can't have it both ways. So it's really what you should say is, yeah, it's all that and about Jordan Love. They don't get me players and blah, blah, blah. But once again, I say this to Aaron Rodgers. You are one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL today. You will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You should be in more than one Super Bowl and win more than one Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something. Again, in that championship game, when it went to 4th and goal, did you went after the head coach, after he said, let's kick a field goal? Did you say anything? Did you say, oh, no, we're not going to do that? We're going to take this ball and put it in the end zone? Did you do that, Aaron Rodgers? No. What did you do? You sat there with your passive-aggressive self and just like, okay, go ahead, kick the field goal. I don't care. Fine. That's what you did. You think Tom Brady would do that? No. What does Tom Brady do? Because he has a type A personality and he's an alpha male, unlike you, Aaron Rodgers. He would say, oh, no. First of all, he would have called it before the head coach would say anything. He would say, no, I got this. We got this. Trust me. I'm going to hit Gronk on the corner, whatever, boom, or I'll run it in. I don't care. We're going to get this with my own free will. I'm going to get this done. Aaron Rodgers, you don't do that. You know, you want to make complaints, but when things don't go your way, that's when you want to point fingers. And all this talk about, well, you think the GM of the Packers should be fired because he hasn't really helped out. How does he not have helped Aaron Rodgers? He gets players for him. Okay, has he not gotten enough receivers? Okay, that's a valid point. They maybe haven't gotten top wide receivers for Aaron Rodgers. Okay, but last time I checked, if you're so great, and don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers definitely one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. You should make stars on your own. You shouldn't have a star receiver come to you. You should make a receiver out of that star. You should make a star out of that receiver, like a Tom Brady. You know how many wide receivers Tom Brady has made stars of? The only time he's had any true Hall of Famers come on his team to play with him was is Gronkowski. Obviously, he'll be a Hall of Famer, and I can't believe I forgot homeboy's name. One of the greatest receivers ever, Randy Moss. That's it. In his whole career, that's it. And until recently, with what's his face on that Super Bowl team, the former Steeler, I forgot his name. But if I had Heaven on, he would let me know, remind me. But that's it. Okay, so 3 in his whole career. He's done it with making stars of, making them household names to these regular above average wide receivers. You can't do that, Aaron Rodgers? I mean, you're compared. Matter of fact, people say that you're better than Tom Brady. Because, as far as accuracy and everything, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? Game on the line, the lights at its brightest, and the heat is too hot to stay in the kitchen. Guess who I rather a quarterback my team in the biggest biggest spot of the game? It won't be you, Aaron Rodgers. It would be Tom Brady. TB. Tom Brady. Tom Brady. That's who it would be. Tom Brady and his Brady bunch. That's what I'm talking about. He makes you a star. And that's what you should be doing, Aaron Rodgers. And guess what? All this squabbling about management's philosophy is all messed up. That should be behind closed doors. That should not be put out in the media. Okay? And I blame both sides of that. Not just Aaron Rodgers, to be fair. That the Packers management bad at that too. They're both at fault when it comes to that. So that should be kept in-house. I know nowadays it's hard to keep everything a secret nowadays because with social media and everything, you can't fart alone without someone knowing. But I'm just saying that should be kept in-house. I'm sorry. So shame on both of you guys, Packers management and Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers, you're the biggest culprit of all this. I'm just saying. Of course, ESPN kisses Fanny like, oh, because they always kiss the players Fanny because they want them the players to work with them, to keep them, try to keep them, relevant. Otherwise the station would have been irrelevant a long time ago. Oh no, the GM should be fired. Yeah. By the way, telling a human being should be fired, someone who probably has a family and everything. Yeah, that's real classy, right? Real classy. Very good. Very good. And don't get me wrong, I've said that, at times, certain people, certain managers, whatever. But, then I start to think they're human beings and I say, okay, well, that's just me just being heated in the moment. But, it comes to that, this guy probably has a family and all that. And I know he's making a decent money, but come on, it's a human being. Let's relax a little bit. We all, including myself, can get a little crazy about this sports life. Okay. But anywho, I think that's about it about anything else going on. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. If you have any sports questions or whatever, I can answer them right here in the chat room. And if not, then I think it's my time to go. By the way, a program note, since I got you guys on here, I won't be doing the show next week. I'll be away from doing on location stuff, so I won't be able to be doing the show. But the week after, 2 weeks from tonight, I'll be back to do a show. So which is was that June 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So just to let you all know. But if you follow me on Instagram, Jimmy Ace 73, then you'll know. It's also on Twitter too, the same handle. You'll know about when I come on with my program on that. So that's with that story. So so that's about it. Oh yeah, by the way, the Lakers. Let me say this before I go. The Lakers, since Heaven's not on here, the Lakers, they lost game 1. And people making a big deal. Oh, and trust me, the Lakers stink and all this stuff. Okay, I'm not a LeBron guy. I made that point clear for many years on my show. But let's relax, okay? It's one game. I mean, it's not like they're down 3-0, okay? And even if they were down 2-0, I wouldn't even be that concerned, to be honest with you. Now, Knicks being down 2-0 might be a little concerned. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you all for listening and watching this show. I greatly appreciate it. The rest of us here on IE Network greatly appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, not only to my show here, the Benchwarmers podcast, but also Real Talk, which is hosted by the director, Wes Clark. He comes on every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the IE Network. And you got Block TV with our host, Lex, talking about what's been going on in the entertainment world when it comes to the tea. and things that happen during the week of entertainment. That's usually come on. That usually gets uploaded around the middle of the week. So always tune into that. Block TV. Also, Heaven Hollywood, of course, my co-host. He has his Heaven Hollywood experience. Usually comes on every Saturday night with all the tea and everything. And what else? What else we got? Also, he also uploads certain videos of certain archives of stuff that's on Block TV from the past on I Network and other exclusives that might come on Entertainment News. He uploads right on here on the IE Network to share what he knows because he knows a lot of people inside the entertainment industry. Trust me. So if he has an exclusive, you better listen. I'm telling you right now, you have no idea what you're missing. He keeps it real and he always brings it forth. And also Wes does too. You know, not only he directs great independent films, but he also has a couple of insiders he knows. Let me just say, they know a lot of people. Trust me when I tell you. With that being said, thank you all for listening. And by the way, like I said, be uh, look out for those the contests that we're gonna have, the giveaways. We're gonna do more of those on the other shows too. Heaven's gonna do it on his on Having Our Experience. Of course, Wes is doing it on Real Talk, and I'm gonna start doing it here very shortly once I get myself situated when it comes to that part of it. But anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for participating. Everybody in the chat room, Joseph Tan and everybody else, thank you all. Without you, there is no us. And as I go into the IE network horizon, I say this to all of you. Have a great week. Be good. And I also say this to you. Ladies and tomatoes. Peace. Go New York, go New York, go.